Have you ever felt unsure of yourself? Have you ever wanted to make some changes in your life, but you just weren't really sure what changes you wanted to make or even how to go about them? Or perhaps you'd had a direction at some point in your life, but at some point along the way, you kind of lost direction and got off the track. Now you feel like you've lost your way. I've got good news for you. You're not a quitter. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not someone who just cannot make up their mind. It's frustrating when you're in a situation like this. You're not quite sure which way to turn, you don't quite know what to do, and you have a lot of negative thoughts that are running through your brain. But what you're experiencing is more common than you might realize. You're simply suffering from a lack of clarity, which may be what's causing you to go round and round in circles. Fortunately, there is a path to turn that circle into a path that will help you to move forward. If we haven't met before, I'm Shelley from Taming Frenzy. Let's start off by defining what clarity actually is. In essence, clarity boils down to knowing who you are. Clarity is comprised of your values, your vision, your ethics, your strengths and your weaknesses, your priorities and your goals. It's an internal compass that helps you make better decisions, to guide your behavior, and to ultimately fulfill your potential. Clarity is important because it helps you live a balanced life, one that is full of purpose and meaning, and full of peace and joy and contentment. Now that we know what clarity is, why do we need it? There are 5 primary reasons that I have identified of why clarity is important in our life. First one, it helps you discover your life purpose. Second, it helps you discover and hone in on your values. Third, it helps you to create a vision for your life. Fourth, it helps you to set your goals. And fifth, it helps you to manage your time. Now here's the number one reason why it's important to gain clarity in your life. Without it, it's impossible to discover your life purpose. And of course that leads to just another question, which is, what is purpose? Simply put, your life purpose is what you were put on this earth to do. It's why you're here. I believe that each of us has a unique purpose for why we were put on the earth. And yes, you can have a different purpose at different points in your life. For example, when you were younger, your focus may have been on raising your children, taking care of your spouse, supporting aging parents. But as circumstances in your life change, and as you get older, you may discover that the purpose for your life has changed. You may discover that you've got a new purpose. This does not have to be something that changes the world. This can be something simply that impacts other people and impacts the lives of those around you in a positive way. For example, when you were younger, your purpose may have been to raise amazing kids who would then go on to help change either the world or their country or their community or their homes. Your purpose may have been to teach children to become critical thinkers, innovators, and good citizens. Your goal may have been to help tend to people who were sick and who were hurting. Another purpose may have been to create music or art or literary works that encourage people to think, that touch their soul, and that enrich their lives. The point is, it doesn't really matter what your life purpose is, but it does matter that you pursue it, because if we don't pursue our life purpose, I believe the world is a poorer place because of it. The concept of purpose is something that you're going to see as a thread running through future videos coming on this channel. The second reason it's important to get clarity is gaining clarity helps you determine your values. Now, having clear values serves as a lens for you to make other decisions. It gives you a guide to make choices. It guides the commitments that you agree to take on. And every task or project that you undertake should mesh seamlessly with your values. They should not be in contradiction to the things that you say you value most. If your values and the things that you're doing are not aligned, then your life feels off kilter. And if you haven't taken the time to hone in and define your life values to figure out what's truly important to you as you live your life, then everything else is more difficult. It is hard to see down the road when you've got a muddy windshield. Now, you've probably seen some value lists online. They usually contain a list of a lot of words like love, loyalty, fame, popularity, authenticity, honesty, integrity, recognition, service. There are many of them, And if you have never taken one of those, I strongly encourage you to just go online and to find a list and then go through the exercise. Most of those exercises will tell you to circle the values, the things that resonate with you, and then to narrow the list down to the top 3 to 5 values that are the most important things in your life, the things you value the most. The third reason it's important to get clarity is having clarity helps you set your priorities. Now, I don't necessarily mean just your daily priorities, although once you do that, you will find that it filters into that. But I mean the big priorities for the main areas of your life. Your health, your relationships, your personal growth and development, your finances. Now, within each of these bigger categories, you, of course, will set specific priorities. For example, if there is a specific illness that tends to run in your family and there are lifestyle changes that you can make, that may be a health priority for you, is to make those health changes, those lifestyle changes, so that you can do everything you can to avoid contracting a particular illness. If you have determined that funding your children's college funds is very important to you and funding your future retirement, then that may help you make decisions about job choices. For example, you might be more inclined to take a job that requires you to move because of the higher salary and benefits, rather than to stay in a job that you like fine, but you love your coworkers, but that pays a lower salary. Determining your priorities makes it easier to say yes and no to the opportunities that come along. If something is not in alignment with your values, it's an easy no. Fourth, clarity also makes it easier for you to define and set your goals. Now, getting clear on your purpose helps you create your goals because the two should be aligned. The goals that you create should support the purpose that you have set for your life. The two should be related. Now, one of your values in life may be kindness, and you may be someone who absolutely loves and adores animals, and you hate to see them suffer, and so you may develop a goal for yourself of trying to find homes for mistreated or abused animals. Your goal might be to write a book that shares a lesson that you've learned with other people. Your goals probably will tie into several different priorities that you've set for your life. For example, the goal about funding your retirement fund and choosing the job would tie into your financial priorities and also would tie into your relationship priorities. And finally, gaining clarity helps make you a better manager of your time. Because once you've done all of those other things, you'll find it's easier to make choices about how you actually spend the hours that you have. However, this doesn't mean that you still don't have to make choices. Even with perfect clarity and goals that are aligned to your purpose and your vision, it's still easy to get off track with our time. For example, the lure of social media and falling down a rabbit hole and looking up and realizing, oh my goodness, I've been scrolling on this thing for 2 hours when I meant to be doing something else. We still have to make choices about our time. But once we have all of those other things identified, we can sometimes stop ourselves and realize that, okay, this was work time, and therefore I am not going to spend the time scrolling on the phone. When presented with 2 alternative activities, you can always default back to your priorities and the clarity that you have already developed and ask yourself, which one of these activities will move me towards the life that I have envisioned and the goals that I have set for myself and my priorities. Then you can go about setting your weekly and daily schedule so that the tasks and the things that you do actually support those goals so that you can move forward towards them. Now, you may be sitting there thinking to yourself, you know what? I've just never spent that much time thinking about my goals and my priorities and my purpose. I think that's a lot of woo-woo. And is this really all that big of a deal? Why should I listen? Should I really take the time to do this? Seems like a lot of work. Okay, I hear you. Here's would be my answer to that. You don't have to do anything. None of us really has to do anything other than pay taxes and die, and no one certainly has to listen to me. I am not preaching the gospel, and I am not the final arbiter of truth. What I do have, though, is a lifetime of experiences and observation, and have, engaged in study, because this has been something that has intrigued me for many, many years. I have found, though, that one thing in particular is true, and that's this. At some point in time, all of us are going to be forced with a choice or a decision. There's going to be something come along in our life that there's a path and we have to choose which path to take. Now, it may be which person to marry. It may be whether I have children or not. It may be what job do I take? What career do I go into? It may be where do I move? Where do I live? But at some point, there will be a decision moment where we have to choose between alternatives. And if we have taken the time to clarify what's important to us, to have set our values and determined our priorities, it becomes much easier to make that decision than if we simply go into it blind and just kind of make a choice willy-nilly. So I personally believe that there is value in the time you spend to gain clarity about your life. Now, a final point before I wrap up, and that's this. Your life purpose and your clarity may change over time. As we move through seasons of life, as we get older, as our life circumstances change, we may find ourselves at a point where when we once may have been very clear about things, now all of a sudden we're feeling confused and we're not really sure what to do, and things have changed and we just don't quite feel all together, so to speak. I've certainly been there a time or two. It is okay and it is normal for your life purpose to change as the seasons of life that you're going through change. It's important to realize that as we grow and as we change and as we evolve, the purpose for our life will change as well. Sometimes those changes may be voluntary, sometimes they may be forced upon us, but things definitely will change in our life. And when you reach this point where you're feeling muddled and unclear again, simply go back through the process again of spending that time to gain the clarity so that you can move into the next phase of your life with clarity and direction. Once you gain clarity, it is so much easier to cut out all the extraneous nonsense and garbage that we're presented with. And most of that garbage is simply there to derail you, to keep you from making progress, to keep you from moving forward. And once you gain clarity and figure out the purpose or your big thing for your life, it's much easier to then make progress towards it. It's easier to push through those times when you'd really rather not, instead of working or doing whatever, you'd really rather just maybe sit on the TV and flip the remote and skim through channels. You'll feel less struggle, you'll deal less with negative emotions, and the big thing is you will have more confidence. Gaining clarity helps you answer the question, who am I and what do I want, with confidence. I hope you'll watch the rest of the videos in this series on clarity, and until next time, let's tame some frenzy.